What is the antidote to fear? It might at some point seem like it is power, the ability to overcome whatever it is that is causing the fear. The fear comes because you perceive that there is something out there that's able to or capable of doing things you don't want it to do. And if it were to try to do those things, you might not be able to stop it. Therefore, the greater the A, evil of the thing you don't want to do, and B, likelihood that you won't be able to stop the entity from accomplishing that goal, the greater the fear. For this reason, you should absolutely fear God. If God is real, and if the way the Bible describes him is true, then by the definition of fear we just established, he is the most frightening thing that could possibly exist. He is existentially frightening. He made you and has the ability to unmake you. He is physically frightening. You are less than a speck of dust compared to his omnipotence. He is spiritually frightening. He can cut you off from any spiritual help or redemption that you so desperately may need. You should be paralyzed in fear of God. Push this further. Consider just how frightening God is. The intense, specific, searing, unending pain he could cause you. The words that he could say that would expose you to your very core. Words that would reveal everything about you to everyone around you and leave you crushed, shriveled, abandoned, and hopeless. The power he has to end the lives of your loved ones, to ruin your life, your work, your relationships, and everything else. If God were to be angry with you, and in his anger to target you for his wrath, you would have no hope. And I promise, God can swallow you whole. I promise God can drop you where you stand. I promise God can take everything from you. But by that same token, if he can do those things, I promise also that God can forgive you. That God can wait for you, that God can stand you, and that God can handle you. Nobody understood this better than Jesus, because he is in fact God, and because he did in fact experience the full omnipotent wrath of God. And yet still, he didn't talk about God's frightening qualities in a way that was meant to cause despair. He talked about them in a way that gave hope. It's quite beautiful, actually. It's in Matthew chapter 10, starting with verse 28. As I read these verses, I want you to pay attention to one phrase. Do not be afraid. You ready? Jesus says, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." That's God. Jesus is saying that if you're going to choose someone to be afraid of, you should choose to be afraid of God. And he goes on, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny?" The answer here is yes, they are. They are essentially worthless, but God doesn't consider them too small for his power to be spent on them. Instead, Jesus explains, "Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered, which are more worthless than sparrows. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows." I promise, God can obliterate you. I also promise that he isn't going to. Do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. What is the antidote to fear? It's not power. It's not even God's power. It is patience. Patience born of a love that makes itself less, so that the one it loves can be more, can be safer, and can be helped. Under those kinds of conditions, fear is powerless.